Western Spring Television, ours it is.
Thank you very much for starting your day with us again. This is Western Spring Television, and welcome to Morning Spring. My name is Femi Olanikwekwa. I pray and wish you the very best. These days gone on offer.
Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Emmanuel Ujiadigili, and of course, we're wishing you the very best that this day can offer. It's Thursday, the 24th of November, 2022. The year is gradually coming to an end, and we pray for safety and continued prosperity of life and property for every of our viewers. Thank you so much for starting your day with us this morning.
So it's that time again to take you around the polity, help you have a better understanding of what's happening, of the issues dominating public discourses everywhere here, and we're set to do justice to it. And as usual, we'll start with the newspapers to bring you the interviews, and then Mimana will be taking us through what's trending as usual.
Yes, of course, I'll be taking you through what's trending. It seems that someone has got a new name and a new identity in the political sphere. You get to know who that person is later on in the show.
Well, so let's get started this morning, and let's start with the dailies, and we'll begin with the Punch newspapers. The banner headline of the Punch newspaper is about the Paris Club refund. The governors stop deductions. Consultants head for French court. With the riders, governors will end up embarrassing Nigeria after overseas court ruling. That's according to the consultants, and states won't allow illegal payments to consultants despite DMO promissory notes. That's from the Nigeria Governors Forum. Well, so I mean, it's the continuing controversy about the Paris Club refund. The consultants, hell bent on collecting their monies for the consultancy they did to the state. And I wonder, that consultancy is very interesting. Help the states to calculate what they need. The states should have accountants, accounting officials.
Yes, I think it's just sad that we keep complaining about brain drain and people leaving the country when we don't even make use of our best hands. I mean, why are you employing consultants when you probably have civil servants in the civil service, in civil service, in relevant ministries? You have a Ministry of Finance, you have a Ministry of Budget, you have economists and analysts in those ministries. So what stops you from using them? Even if you want to use them as consultants, their rate will definitely be lower than when you bring in people and call them. Are you saying that the civil servants are not good enough?
Nonetheless, so when you enter into a contract, you should honor the contract. So, I mean, that seems to be what. We've been back and forth from the court here in Nigeria. Attorney General of the Federation has stepped in. I remember sometimes in the back, in the past, now the consultants are going to a foreign court, and they are saying that when the governors will end up embarrassing Nigeria after the overseas court ruling, they are cocksure that they will get a favorable court ruling overseas.
Well, like you said, if you have a contract, you are duty bound, you are honor bound to see out the contract. You have to pay me my money if I work for you. And so if there's any reason you wouldn't pay, it has to be a mutual agreement. It shouldn't be you taking the decision yourself.
Well, so the governors also feel that this is absolutely illegal, and that's why they've pushed back again and again on these very matters. But you get the full gist, the full details of that story on page 2 of the Punch newspapers. And just on the front, just under that story, you have the picture of the president unveiling the unveiling the new Naira note. You get to see that on the front page of the newspaper, and just down below that picture, you have the headline: New Naira, CBN, EFCC to track large withdrawals. CBN, EFCC to track large withdrawals. And you should have seen the memes on social media.
Oh,
And the reactions.
we'll see those things on Spring Trends later.
Is this a redesigning or a repainting or a recoloring or what?
I've even heard some of my reactions later on Spring Trends. Somebody said that you shouldn't wash the Naira notes with your clothes because it might wash out.
Oh my goodness, Nigerians can be mischievous, but I see no, I mean, no big deal about the redesign, really. I don't think there's any big deal about it, and I don't think Nigerians should be that hard on the CBN. Perhaps these definitely we have some security features, and it's just to change some of the features, and one of the features essentially is also the color. Or if you like,
give it a facelift.
or give it a facelift. So, but it will serve the purpose. And like we also said yesterday, these new notes will coexist side by side with the old notes and be in circulation, while the old notes will be phased away by the end of January. So take advantage of that opportunity to return your old notes to the bank. In order, on the front page of the paper, still at the lower right corner of the paper, Ekiti Sans say Speaker's impeachment coup d'etat. I saw the letter yesterday, signed by some of the illustrious sons of Ekiti, led by Chief Afebabalola, Chief Wole Olanipekun, Dele Adesina, all of them SCN, and some of the former attorneys general of the state are condemning in particular that impeachment of the speaker, and they say it's unconstitutional, it's null and void, and they called on well-meaning sons and daughters of Ekiti states to condemn it, and they stopped short of actually mentioning names, apparent reference to Kayode Femi, but they didn't mention his name all through. But they were asking the governor to be his own man. They were asking the governor to take charge of the state, that the buck stops at the stable.
Yes, we did mention yesterday, I think, that the governor is still probably treading the waters softly because his case is still in court. So it will be tough for him to take a stand in this matter. We hope, however, that he can step in with his office to at least mediate and douse the tension. But I think I tend to agree with the SANs. There are processes to everything we do, especially in the political sphere. You cannot, because you have grievances to settle, you cannot, because you have issues, and then you circumvent or you subvert the process. You have to follow, even if you want to impeach the speaker, it must be on basis of, probably allegations of corruption, not just because he's not on good terms with someone who has who wields a certain amount of power.
They asked us questions in that statement saying, was he given, a fair hearing?
Yes.
If a speaker was elected today, they're now asking, when did he commit the infractions that led to his impeachment? They said, you elected him today, he was sworn in, and then you locked up the House of Assembly. They were even asking in that statement, who gave the order to the Commissioner of Police to lock up the House of Assembly? And they were also asking, how come the clerk of the House swore in two speakers in the space of 1 week, saying who gave the clerk the order to reconvene the House. For that. And there's so many questions, really. But it's good that there's some pushback against some of these.
Yes.
But definitely it's in the court, and the court will decide.
Yes, because when you look at it, he was or he is a member of the House. So definitely, if he had some cases to answer, if he had some allegations, he would probably have been answering them as a member before even becoming speaker. So there has to be a reason why he would be impeached.
All right. So, also on the front page of the Punch newspaper, police kill Osun Prince, hoodlums raise palace. You can get a story on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper, and that's about the Kirun
incident
crisis yesterday. Very shocking, very disturbing. A life was lost.
Sadly.
And also the palace, traditional institution symbol, was also burnt down, was razed.
Yes, it's. I think it's the culmination of the tension that has beclouded the community in the recent past. I want to say that the government probably did not take it seriously because there've been protests, there've been complaints, and when those things happen, you should have you should be able to preempt that when you've not been able to placate the warring, let me not use warring factions, the aggrieved parties now, there is a tendency for a breakdown of law and order. and you're supposed to prevent that from happening. If you've been seeing the signs, if people have been taken to the street and their issues have not been resolved, then you should know that they are inclined towards certain actions that you must protect against. The last time this kind of thing happened in Osun State was, I think, 2 years ago at Edwabon, when the palace was raised because of the kingship tussle. I was there to see, and it was terrible. There were people who were in the building at the time it was being raised. People had to jump out of the roof, causing themselves injuries. And so what happened in Ikirun yesterday was quite shameful and shouldn't be happening. It speaks also to the fact that our traditional schools have been debased to a certain extent. If people do not have the reverence they should have for a traditional institution, to the extent of going into a palace, burning it down, and definitely they must have looted. They must have moved some things out of the palace. So that means you don't even have the fear. There's no sacredness anymore.
Irrespective of where you belong on this matter, whether party A or party B side, we should respect that institution. We should not get, because whenever, and this matter, and it definitely will be solved. Almost all wars come back to the table, for resolution. When it's resolved, what about the palace that you've it's your common heritage? So we should, exercise some restraint and then, some common sense really in dealing with these matters. And the police also, we need to appeal, because the residents accused the police of triggering that incident, saying they brought in some, maybe traditionalists wanting to make some appeasement in the palace to carry out some sacrifices. And they even accused of saying they were also said to have brought in a welder to come and open the gate, because the gate has been under lock and keys. And they said they were shooting sporadically tear gas and bullets. And they said one of the bullets actually hit, incidentally, a prince, a member of one of the ruling houses, in contention for the throne. And it was said to have died.
Now that gives it an even more dire coloration. Losing a prince in that manner. But again, it begs the question: on whose authority was the police acting?
Okay, so that's one of the questions for the police we need to answer. All right, so excess crude account declines by 89%. That's our buffer zone. It declines by 89%. And just beside the nameplate, PDP differs as APC dismisses electronic results transmission. Okay, INEC has restated and reiterated its stance on some of these matters. Electronic transmission of result, INEC said it's come to stay. But it appears that some of the parties are not comfortable with what, is that what is happening here?
Yes, it is what is happening. We need to move beyond the archaic ways of doing things. In some countries, there's overseas voting, you have voting by mail, you have electronic voting. And this is a novel, thing. It's something that INEC is using, the BVAS machine. It's going to reduce human error to a certain extent. It's going to reduce ballot box snatching and all of that. So I wonder why a political party will say they are not interested or they don't want it to be used. Probably they want to cite issues of network and all of that. But those are little technical issues.
All right. So, just before we leave the Punch newspaper, just above the nameplate, NNPC meets marketers as petrol scarcity bites harder. NNPC meets marketers as petrol scarcity bites harder, on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. And finally, obese plane grounded, campaign train seeks alternative arrangements. So what's responsible for the grounding of the plane? You may want to check. It's on page 13 of the Punch newspaper. Emmanuel.
Yes, from the Punch newspaper, we'll move on to the Daily Trust newspaper. This morning, just on the face of the Daily Trust newspaper, you can see staring at you 2023 budget. Finance Ministry on the spot, over 424 billion naira padding. Finance Ministry on the spot, over 424 billion naira padding. Lawmakers decry insertions. Ministry denies allegations. It's a ploy to divert taxpayers' funds. Rafsanjani, and it's being investigated. Malami, that's what you have sitting right on top of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Very interesting one, Femi.
Remember
on Monday, a
yeah.
certain minister was talking about 206 billion naira. Now it is 424 billion
we had
naira.
something similar also yesterday about there was a certain ministry
documents missing 2.2 billion naira.
Okay.
And this is 424 billion naira.
So this padding issue has been with us from the beginning of this administration.
Yes.
I reckon that by now we should have gotten a hang of it. We should have been able to manage and put up such structures, institutional framework such that we are not able to pad. Civil servants or public officials are not able to pad again. But it's good. So, and this is also the lawmakers doing their job, and that's why I find it incredulous when some people argue that when the appropriation bill is submitted to the National Assembly, it should not be checked. It should just be passed the way
it should be checked.
said. I mean, so this is
that's
how
you find irregularities. And what is interesting, the recurring theme in any of these padding stories is that the ministry always denies. The ministry always says it's either they say there's no padding, or they say we don't know how it got there. So
so who did it?
So who drew up the budget? Why are you saying that it's you don't know? And now Malami, the Attorney General of the Federation, is saying that it's been investigated.
That's good.
Yeah, very, very good. Just below, down on that Daily Trust newspaper, as Wari unveils new Naira notes, 165 billion Naira mapped up. CBN decries banks' low response, redesigned notes not targeted at anyone. That's what you have there. We've spoken about the new Naira note and what is, you did mention on the Punch newspaper that the AFCC will be tracking large withdrawals to see who is moving large sums of money.
So, I mean, I think we should also ask our viewers what they make of these new Naira notes. You can actually send your comments on our social media pages.
Yes, please do send your Western Spring
Television,
Television,
on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Let's know what you make.
On Twitter is at WSTV_NG.
Yes.
Let us know what you think about
it. They are
it.
lovely for me, if you ask me. I mean, away from
they're colorful, very colorful.
They are.
I do agree with the
they are
colorful. Yes.
I don't know.
You could use it as decoration.
Cheek comment or not, but they are colorful.
So, still on the Daily Trust newspaper, for scarcity spreads in Lagos as ex-depot price hits 205 naira. EFCC, ICPC, others to monitor campaign spending. INEC chair, that's quite interesting.
Well, yeah, so it's good that we're monitoring campaign spending, especially, aside those who come into office for the first time. Most of those who are in government seeking re-election, especially in the executive arm of government, there are suspicions that a lot of them do spend government money.
Yes, in fact, we've heard people say that no incumbent uses his money. Every incumbent government uses the government funds. Those are allegations that have always been.
So it will be good for EFCC and ICPC to continue to monitor. And then the story about the fuel scarcity spreading in Lagos, an ex-depot price hitting 205. I queued to buy fuel yesterday here in Oshogbo to get a far cheaper price than what is this? If the depot price
is 205,
then you can imagine how much it gets to the end user.
And at this point, I don't think you can fault the marketers. You can't really pass the buck and place it on their table. If I'm buying 205, I have to factor in my cost of transportation,
your margins,
and all of that. So it may just be, and thank God, the Ministry of Petroleum is meeting with marketers. We saw on the Punch that the minister or someone will be meeting with the marketers to decide on what to do and how to ease life for Nigerians. Ohaneze, Northern Elders Forum, seek renegotiation of Nigeria's unity. Well, this has always been on the table. It has always been in the political sphere. People wanting to renegotiate Nigeria's unity. Are we still good to go to remain married? Should there be a divorce?
It depends on who you are. Some will say Nigeria's unity is non-negotiable, and others who insist that Nigeria's unity is negotiable. In fact, should be negotiated. That's the best, or that's the best way we can coexist peacefully and harmoniously. But whichever one, it should be in the best interest of the average Nigerian.
Yes. Before we move on from the Daily Trust, this is a story coming in from the north. Turkey holds 5 Zamfara residents after 10.5 million protection levy. Turkey is one of the most wanted. It's one of the most wanted bandits in the north, and he's holding 5 Zamfara residents after 10.5 million protection levy. That protection levy is in quotes.
Yeah. So I mean, those bandits run, a parallel government, in large swaths of some parts of the north. In Zamfara State, for instance, they collect protection. It's like levies. It's like taxes. And so farmers, go do the labor on their farms, and sometimes the bandits come and said, "We own your harvest." Sometimes they are charged the money. It's such a miserable life for some of our, folks up there in the north. I mean, so this is classic what they go through every day in the north. Imagine, a non-state actor holding residents to, ransom, demanding protection levy.
Protection from who?
Oh, from them,
From themselves.
Of course.
So you're paying me to protect you from myself.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. Still on Daily Trust newspaper, Ganduje flags off APC campaign in Kano, assures of victory. That's a political one there. And then Rep Seek agency rather, for Almajiri out of school children.
Okay, so yes, another establishment coming up.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So
another agency. We already have the Ministry of
then you wonder,
Women Affairs and Children and all of that.
Will you ever get the Oronsaye report implemented? The Oronsaye report wants agencies to be to be collapsed, merged, and then reduced. But then you have every other day at the National Assembly one bill for the establishment or creation of one university, one polytechnic.
Commission.
One of our guests on our radio shows, Dr. Tunji Oguyemi, said universities have now become, rural amenities that politicians, just do for.
It's even part of campaign promises. When you vote me into the National Assembly, we will bring a university to this community.
And so now again, I mean, these are functions that existing government agencies can perform adequately.
Yes,
the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, some of those ministries can collab. A department can oversee. Instead of setting up an agency, you have a DG, you have, a retinue of other staff, Oh my goodness.
I mean, the Ministry of Education can handle the out-of-school children. Humanitarian Affairs can take our Marjorie. So I really don't know why we keep on duplicating, and then we cry about cost of governance. Let's see what we have in other papers.
Let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. The banner headline is also about finance. CBN rally support for cashless economy. Unveils new notes with the riders. New notes fortified against counterfeiting, says Buhari. Emefiele, EFCC, ICPC to track withdrawal of large volumes of cash. Old banknotes should be allowed to phase out over time. Adi insists. Experts say currency redesign has no economic relevance. Okay.
Well, that's some of the arguments for and against.
For and against.
Yes,
the president
the
saying this is fortified against counterfeiting, something that has economic relevance.
Interestingly, I did see some comments that said that these new notes are more susceptible to counterfeiting because of the brightness of the colors. It's easy to just come up with, something, use your computer to increase the brightness of an existing design and then print it out as if you're printing money, or the old way they do it with some abracadabra. And then
we never know.
We'll never know.
Sure
there'll be some
counterfeit measures
in the nearest future.
So I mean, just above the banner headline, poll ranks Obiano as best Anambra governor since 1999. Okay, so you wonder what obedience we have to say about this. Obi was also Peter Obi was a governor in Anambra State. Actually came in before Obiano.
Chris Ngige,
Chris Ngige is also there. But this poll in times like this, when Peter Obi is on the ballot,
you might just wonder.
So you wonder why this kind of poll is coming at this time. So and then I like to see the reaction of the obedience. We do not take kindly to any negative news.
I mean, see the reaction when he was referred to as a pastor yesterday. They literally wanted to eat up that media house that referred to him as a pastor. They accused the media house of trying to stoke religious tensions by referring to him as Pastor Peter Obi. So we want to know who ordained him and where he was
that's
ordained.
Interesting. Okay, 2023 poll with his large desperate politicians. Igini Amadi declare HIV prevalence in girls, women 60% higher than in men, says NACA. We need to do something about that. And also on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, the news story is on page 9. Ashiru accuses El Rufai of plunging Kaduna into debts, unfolds economic agenda. You never know. I mean, the argument as to whether you should borrow or not borrow, will be an everlasting debate. There are those who feel that for you to achieve infrastructural projects to do well, you need to borrow because your finances may not be enough. They say there is no harm in borrowing so long what you're borrowing for is for infrastructure, not for recurring expenditure.
Well, at some point, to be fair, I think at some point it is important that government borrow, because you cannot manufacture money out of thin air. And if you have made promises to your people, promises that are not baseless, promises that are reasonable, and for social growth and social infrastructure and even physical infrastructure, you must have one way or the other.
But so the borrowing must be tied to productive projects,
yes,
not for recording.
And it must not be a bad loan. It must be something that can be serviced. You shouldn't borrow, for instance, to buy a private jet, a jet for the state. I mean, if your state doesn't need a jet, you have no reason borrowing to buy that. But if you're borrowing to build schools and hospitals and things that will, in the nearest future, improve the quality of living, and of course improve the standard of living, and then ultimately increase
your capacity to pay back the loans also.
So you must borrow within your capacity to repay.
So what the last story for us this morning on the Guardian newspaper is about 2023. UK is watching Nigeria closely. British High Commissioner tells politician. You can get more on that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. So the international community is also watching.
Well, the international community is always watching. Well, some will argue that they've not really seen their impact, but I think it's because there's a level you can't interfere in the process. You can only watch.
A middle sub-interloper.
Yes, you can just
in a sovereign nation's affairs. Yes. There's a limit to you.
You can only just even the United Nations doesn't meddle. In sovereign nations, the highest they do is to advise. They can appeal. When you see the UN Secretary General in the news is always appealing, is always calling on people to. You can't just say you want to upturn certain things. You play an advisory role. In that country, and that's what the international community always does.
All right, so that's that from the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Yes, let's check what's on the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper this morning, we have on the banner headline, electricity crisis. Governors reject sale of 10 power plants. Governors reject sale of 10 power plants. NGF insists on legal solution to $418 million Paris Club refund fee row. That's what you have as the banner headline there on the Nation newspaper. Electricity crisis. Governors reject sale of 10 power plants. Why are we selling when we're not generating enough?
So why not sell if the government is not capable of maintaining or running efficiently the power plants? So.
Well, yes, I feel that you must also consider the fact that if those plants can be rejigged, but if they cannot, they should be sold. But not just sold with the intent or intention of revamping and improving. If you are selling, then there must be noticeable difference. If we're operating at 25,000 megawatts, for instance, when you sell, we should be able to produce more. So it becomes terrible when you sell and then we produce less. The national grid has collapsed more times than an epileptic. Let's not go there. So also underneath the right, the NGF insists on legal solution to 418 Paris Club refund fee route. We already spoke about that on other newspapers. It's difficult to fake new Naira notes, says Buhari. It's difficult to fake new Naira notes, says Buhari. Right on top of that story, if you can see, weak overrated Atiku camp hits back at Governor Oshun Palace raised. Then you have sitting pretty just below the nameplate XAGF. Idris returns $900,000 cash. Witness tells court.
$900,000 cash.
That's kind of very. I mean, both of us are speechless at the moment. $900,000 cash.
Yeah.
How do you move that amount of money? You need a bullion van to do that. You can't even move it in piecemeal.
Well, you may not need a bullion van. It depends on the denomination of the note. So you have $10,000, for instance.
Wow.
But it's just incredible that an official of government, now an ex-government official, standing in trial, had access to such funds, to such liquidity. It's interesting. We need to plug holes. We need to plug loopholes, block leakages, and ensure that we have institutional frameworks that fight some of this corruption. There was once a controversial concept of the goat and the yam, by former President Goodluck Jonathan. Perhaps we need to revisit it.
Yes.
You do not tempt the goat, so you do not put the yam where the goat will have access to it. Yeah.
But where the goat can collude with other goats to, get access
open the barn and go into the yam store.
Yeah, so above the nameplates, just in the middle there, bandits demand new Naira notes to free Abdul. It's not even up to a day. It's not even been a day.
But this was essentially part of why we had to change the Naira notes.
And now
it's also for security reasons, because oh my goodness,
they are demanding. It's already a demand, yes, to free abducted
Have
victims.
you seen the money yet?
I mean, it's just even a specimen. That's what was unveiled. Had the specimens, that we just need to see.
So the bandits are already asking for new Naira notes.
Will the government answer them first before?
So I mean, these definitely, is to the relatives of victims. This evidently is not for government. Bandits operate, in some, like we said earlier on, and most times it's not government that deal. Many people, most individuals are left, at the mercy of the bandits to deal with them on their own.
Yes, and the relatives will now have to put pressure, of course, on government to make sure that the money is in circulation for them to withdraw, because you don't have access on.
So I'm wondering how much of a pressure, can every Nigerian put on government?
It's really a sorry state. Bandits making demands, right, left, center. Ogun Central Monarchs back Abiodun for second term. Ogun Central Monarchs back Abiodun for second term. And just before we leave the Nation newspaper this morning, Tinubu inaugurates Ebonyi Government House Road, and then World Cup. Neymar, Ronaldo begin World Cup quest. Interestingly, there was an upset yesterday again. Germany lost to Japan.
So it appears it's a World Cup of upsets. Yes, and so we are waiting to see what more upsets are in the offing, in Qatar. But interesting scenario playing out. But that's the much we can take about the newspapers today. We'll take a break now, and when we return, our guest will be joining us live in the studios.
Yeah, at the Balemo, we are ready. Ever ready, Hello, good morning.
Are you good?
Good morning, everybody. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Western Spring, are you there?
Hello, good morning. So we'll raise some of the issues that All right, thank you so much for staying with us here until Morning Spring, and it's reaching you from Western Spring Television. Do remember that you can follow us on all of our social media handles, and you can watch us live on YouTube. Just search for Western Spring Television, and also do well to drop your comments on some of our reviews of the newspaper, and also even our interviews on those same platforms, Western Spring Television. And for Twitter, that's
yes, WSTV_NG at WSTV_NG. You can follow us on Twitter and also tag us to trending issues that you want us to bring to the fore and amplify for you. And we also like to see your comments on some of the issues that we'll be reviewing, like Femi has said. We want to see what you think about our interviews, about our guests. And if you have any questions, we can take them. Just let us know what you think on our social media platforms.
All right, so you should also be able to see us. You definitely will be able to see us on Star Times DT channel 190, aside all of the social media platforms. Well, so let's cut to the chase now. Let's bring in our guest this morning. Our guest is the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Prince Adebayo Adeleke, is popularly known as Barney. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I first of all want to congratulate Rave FM for the establishment of this Western Spring Television. It's a world-class standard TV station.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it. God Almighty will continue to be with you. Having said that, I say good morning to the people of Osun State. My name, once again, is Prince Adebayo Adeleke, the current Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs,
Current.
Osun State.
All right, so current and also outgoing.
Outgoing, current. What have you?
Well, so it's just some 3 days now to, your exit from government, and then the new government will be coming in. So we've been doing a review of how the past 4 years has been for this administration. If I ask you to make an assessment, we've asked a number of persons, and a chieftain of the PDP, incidentally your friend, understand, your best man or you are his best
Which
man.
one of them is that?
Prince Adebayo was here.
Oh, okay, Adebayo.
So, and he also had his own opinions on the administration and what have you. But if I ask you, you're a key player in that government. How would you assess the last 4 years?
Well, I thank you so much. What the administration that is led by Governor Adebayo has done is not what we can be debating, because you can see them all over. They are very feasible to the blind and edible to the deaf. So many projects that are physical, so many projects that are not physical, but you could see the effect on the people. And I'll just give you one. Establishment of Western Spring Television is part of the achievement of the present government.
Is it?
Oh,
Ask me why.
Why?
Because it's a peaceful state all through. Where there's crisis, where there's robbery, where there's gangsterism, there will be no peace. And you will not be able to put this multi-million edifice down and say you want to establish a new one. So it's part of the achievement. Thank you.
Well, so, I mean, if you had all of these achievements, including, as you claim now, Western Spring Television.
Yes.
How come you lost the election at the polls, July 16? I mean, if the government
thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. In a free and fair election that is not alleged of rigging, election that is not alleged of Beaver's report not yet synchronized, we won that election. Governor Gboyega Oyetola won that election. But that is a matter that will leave for the tribunal. So to them, we lost election. To us and the good people of Osun, Governor Adebayo Oyetola won that election.
How? I mean, you're saying you are rigged out.
We alleged rigging. We alleged serious level of overvoting. And it's been established. So we leave that for the tribunal.
Has it been established? I mean, the case is in court.
We established it. We established it.
At your own end.
We established it. That is exactly what we took to court. So we have to wait. It is only when we wait and the result come out, then you will know that we know what we are saying. The people of Osun State love Gboyega Oyetola. They voted for him. that election was full of serious election malpractices. And that is why we're in court.
That election was lost by over 28,000 votes.
But at the same time,
yes,
we challenged 10 local government, and we're able to see that we had about 172,000 level of overvoting. So what are we talking about? Well, we know what. So I mean, we don't just talk. I mean, so
the PDP, and including your friend who came in yesterday, said the APC is in court at the tribunal just to hold the party together, to sort of give a false sense of hope to your supporters that you know that you lost the election fair and square.
That is an assessment from the side of the opposition. The real assessment is there. A case that is in court, we don't have to. Let me tell you this. In 2018, the same thing they said. Oh, no, they're in court. Oh, we are going to win. Oh, we are going to do this. When they did the abracadabra at the tribunal level, what happened in the Court of Appeal? What happened in the Supreme Court? Like I said, it's in court, but we don't just talk. We don't do beer parlor talk. When we are confident and sure of something, we pursue it. That election was full of electoral malpractices, and it is left for the tribunal to decide.
Well, in the aftermath of the election, some members of your own party were recorded, as saying that your party lost the election because you were careless, because of some issues, internal issues.
The election. So some of the so-called members of our party even played the role that is better than that of an opposition. So people like that will say, at least we can see some videos where some chieftains of our party were dancing like if, we are happy that we supposedly lost the election. So that comment that you are hearing is not a comment from a an authentic member of our party. These are comments from the enemy side.
So you're saying particularly now, categorically rather, that you did not lose the election.
We did not.
And that the people of Osun are not in any way frustrated.
They are not frustrated. You need to see when all this commissioning that we are doing, you need to see crowd. After that, we did a walk for Tinubu Shetima. You can see the crowd. Those are not rented crowd. When the governor moves around, you see people waving hands, still calling, oh, our governor, oh, our governor. It's obvious. But because it is in court, like I said, we leave it for the tribunal to decide. You will see. We are too confident. That election was full of electoral malpractices, and I still repeat it. So we are exiting temporarily because by the grace of God, Governor Boyega Itola is coming back and he's going to spend his 8 years.
Temporarily?
Temporarily because they should be sworn in. So if obviously they'll be sworn in on Sunday, and by the time we get to the end of the petition that is in the tribunal, you will see that APC was definitely rigged out. This one in a sophisticated manner. In a sophisticated manner. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I never heard of the word synchronized. That you announce the result of an election before your own computer system synchronized. We never heard of that. In Nigeria, we are phoning. But this time around, we see how it goes.
All right, so let's still go back to the review of your administration going out. And I'd like to take you up on your role in the government as the Commissioner for Chieftaincy and Local Government Affairs. In the recent past, let me take you back to yesterday. There was an issue in Ikirun. The palace of the Ikirun was razed down because of, tussles and disquiet about the choice of the monarch of the town. How has your administration fared in terms of ensuring that the sacredness of the traditional institution is upheld?
Well, I want to say this categorically that the position of an Oba in any community is always very, very competitive. That is why there's a law that guides the whole process, and it's in the declaration. That declaration itself is law. As far as the government is concerned, we follow the process. And once you follow the process, If there are little crises here and there, then it's left for the court to decide. But we never did anything. We never circumvented any process. We have done the right thing. If this happens, do this. There are declarations. If it is the ruling house A that left the throne, the declaration will say, yes, it goes to the next ruling house in an attempt to pick from the next ruling house. And we follow the process. If anybody is not aggrieved and you think, yes, I want to protest, yeah, so be it. But the government of Governor Gboyega Oyetola has never circumvented any part of the process. We have done the right thing. All true.
And if you've done the right thing rather, why then do you have protests? Some have even accused your government of flouting court orders, saying that there are some of these cases, some of these overship cases that still in court.
I totally disagree with that. Many of our people, especially people on the social media, they just talk on hearsay. I will pick that of Ire as an example. The governor and the ESCOT approved the appointment of Kabiyesi Olukunle Raphael on the 7th of November. That was the day he became the king. It is the approval of the governor. The process will start from the local government. And from the local government, the appointment comes to the state. It is the local government that will recommend. They will do selection. They will recommend to the state government. The government will approve. Immediately, the government puts his signature. That person has become the king of that community. That is the process. Now, they went to court on the 8th of November to say they get a restraining order. And the honorable judge said, let the status quo remain. So it's a matter of what you are interpreting. Are we going to take the status quo back to the beginning of the process? He said, as at on the 8th of November, let the status quo remain. The status quo is that somebody has been made the king. The governor signed and approved on the 7th of November. So if they are talking of a flouting court order, why don't they leave that one for the judge to decide? If you flout court order, of course the judge has every right to say, oh, you be committed for this. But none has happened. All these are beer parlor gossip, social media things. They have done this, they have done that. There's nothing they will not say. But we are not that bothered. We are only appealing for them to let peace reign. If you have a complaint, please go to court. That is the civil thing to do. Not to go and start destroying lives and properties of people. No.
Well, I mean, Prince Adeleke, if, like you said here, that the processes were not circumvented, you said you followed due process.
Yes.
So why do we have protests, crisis, controversy?
There is no way you will not. There is no way you will not have protests.
You know, so I mean, it's not only in Nekero. You know,
let me tell you this. Let me tell you. I told you.
What about in Igbajo? And then it's a number of appointments.
No, I've not seen any protests in Igbajo.
Before the, before the.
Of course, people will talk. You see, I am a prince. Let me tell you this. I thank God that the government was wise enough to establish what we call a declaration. That is what you follow. Because hardly can you see a community or a town where we have only a single ruling house. There are many. And many of them don't even understand what this declaration means. So immediately you see the demise of any Kabiyesi. Every single person that is from any royal house want to be Kabiyesi. Many think they can buy their way through. In many communities, they'll say, no, we don't want this family because they don't have a billionaire there. We want a family where we have billionaire that will come and bring his money, you know, supposedly to develop the community. But that is not what the law says. The law did not say give it to a billionaire. The law says give it to somebody in the next ruling house. And it is that ruling house that will produce a candidate. Where there are many, all of them will obtain application form. Then all of them will go through the process. And the process will pick one. Those that were not picked, what do you think will happen? They want to protest. But if they happen to be the beneficiary of the process, there will be no protest from them. But if they are not, they will protest.
Well, Prince, I mean, another question will be, so why, has did your government leave it this late? Because it's been a raft of
You see, let me say this. There are some who don't understand.
Yes.
Governor Boyega Oyetola will not appoint or approve the appointment of any person to be a KBC if there is a case in court restraining the government from doing so.
So you're saying there is no case in court against any of their
There's no
for the one at
Ikiru. No way.
Claim that there was another was served on this.
Let me say this. Let me say this. The case in court in Ikiru, I never knew you get to do. Will have brought some proof for you. But if you don't mind, you can still get them. The case they took to him was struck out by a judge of the High Court. As at the time that man was appointed, I am telling you, unequivocably that there was no case no injunction that stopped the government from doing so. Not at all. And that is why I think it's difficult for some people to go to court. But what are you taking to court? Due process followed. But because you are not favored, you want to protest. And it is not peculiar to our government alone. Even past administrations. You do it, some people will protest. But what we are saying is they should do it in a civil way. We are appealing to them. You want to protest, go to court. Let the court decide. That is civil.
So you've not been appointing your cronies or friends or relatives into positions. That's the accusation on the streets.
Well, anybody, now I thank God you said on the streets.
Yes.
Anybody can say anything. But once you are sure of what you have done, that you have not in any way set aside any process, I can assure you that we are good to go.
Well, so I'd like you to clarify before Emmanuel comes in again on the issue of Ire. That's where you come from.
Yeah.
And you're also a prince from that town. I interviewed some of the parties, and I think I also interviewed you at that time. But it'd be good for you to clarify on this same platform as
let
well.
me.
They said that they accused you of being directly involved, of manipulating the process. They said you brought in warrant chiefs, and that to them that was unknown to the law. That the people you brought in a warrant
exactly what we are saying.
Yes.
How can if they have the understanding of the process, they will not tell us that warrant chief is alien to them. They might not have used it. Obaship, at times it takes 30 years, and Oba can spend 30 years on the throne before you start process of getting another one. Maybe many of these people were not even chiefs then. So let me explain the process for you briefly. It is the responsibility of the local government to do selection, to do appointment of any Oba.
You do not get involved.
The local government, the Minister of Local Government is only the monitoring ministry, because the ministry represents Mr. Governor. So after they might have done everything at the local government level, they will write us officially. When an Oba dies, after the completion of the funeral rites, the local government will write a letter to the ministry that this is what is happening in our area. And after that, the ministry will say, okay, go ahead, start the process. The beginning of the process is they go and look at the declaration. Which family is next? Then they write a letter to the head of that family and say, okay, the time is ready for you to come and take application for those who are interested. And that's exactly what they will do. And they will give them a date. And so these are the people. They will even give them orientation. They will go and talk to them. So in Ire, we have 6 Afobayes who are the kingmakers. Out of that, 1 died. The law empowers the local government through the Ministry of Justice to appoint that one that dies to make it 6
to fill that space.
To fill that space. The law did not say take it from A, B, C, D. The law says somebody of good reputation. The law did not say a man or a woman. And we have been doing they are doing that in Ire because I am from Ire and I'm the current commissioner for local government and chieftaincy affairs. Well, in the past, they've been using warrant chiefs. In the past, women have been involved in selection of kings. The Yalode of Oshogbo today is a kingmaker. And that's a woman. And we have used warrant chief in so many places to fill those vacant positions. That of Ire, why is it an exception? And because of that singular act of appointing a warrant chief, they claimed that they will not sit down to do the selection. The local government, according to them, made the first attempt. The kingmaker said, no, we are not going to do that. They went to give them orientation. They still insisted. They even wrote to the local government that they are the one that has the authority to appoint a warrant king. You see, ignorance.
A warrant chief.
A warrant chief. That's pure ignorance. And I said, and they wrote the report to the ministry. I'm like, okay, you have done it twice now. I will advise that you make the third attempt. But this time around, go and paste the invitation letter and the agenda of it, to go and paste it where they hold their meetings. They did, according to the report. And the day they're supposed to do that, the chiefs absconded for the third time. What does the law say? You can't hold us into ransom. You cannot leave that seat vacant perpetually.
They said they were afraid of their lives, that in fact they saw DSS officials at some of the places.
Yeah. You are not a rogue. Whether you see DSS, there is nowhere they do selection that they will not provide security, especially in a place where it is very, very competitive. The government not to provide security. We have seen situations whereby they are doing selection and some candidate brought in thugs to disrupt the place. So how could you blame local government for providing security? How is that an excuse? Was anybody beaten? They are not criminals. So it's just a layman excuse that has no bearing. That's just it. And at the end of the day, the government moved forward to the next step. The law says, where they have abdicated like that, what you do is you now appoint warrant chiefs. And that's exactly what the local government did. They will appoint warrant chiefs. They will send the name of the warrant chief to Ministry of Justice for clearance. Ministry of Justice will do their investigation on the personality and the integrity of those people and clear them. They were cleared officially. And they did the voting. It was after then that they decided, oh, they use warrant chiefs. They cannot use warrant chiefs. They are even saying, what is the involvement of government? It's never happened, my brother. They are persecuting me because I am from Ire and I am the commissioner for local. Everything they are saying, commissioner. The one that in Ibajo, a warrant chief was used. The last 5 that we did, we appointed warrant chief. That is the law. And the authority to appoint warrant chief was not given to the kingmakers. It wasn't given to anybody. It was given to the government. It's the sole responsibility of the government. And people need to have understanding, pure understanding. So I just laugh when they say, oh, when they send a letter to the local government and they send a copy of the letter to the ministry, and I read it, where they said the government has no authority to appoint warrant chief. So if there is need for any warrant chief, it is the kingmaker that will appoint warrant chief, and they have appointed one, and they put the name of that one that they have appointed. And we have the letter. It's very funny, my brother. But I am telling you that we have followed what they call complete due process in the appointment of kings, according to the law.
All right, thank you for taking your time to explain that. But now let's go back to the political angle of your administration. I'd like to ask, last night while I was going through the internet, I saw a tweet that the governor had dissolved his cabinet. As of this moment, 7:58, Thursday, 24th November 2022, is the governor's cabinet still in place? Has it been dissolved?
When I introduced myself, I said the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. That answers the question.
All right, very good. Now,
there is no. I mean, you're saying that's fake news. The governor has not dissolved his cabinet.
I am still the current Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in Osun State.
All right, so I'd like to take you to yesterday when we had Prince Adebayo on the show, and he said categorically, made allegations of looting of some of the ministries, by some of officials who are outgoing. Have you, been doing that in your cabinet, taking some of the government property?
Well, you see, my response to this is PDP is full of their parlor talk. What they think they can do is what they are thinking. We have people of an impeccable integrity in this government, in this administration. You can imagine them accusing the governor of moving sofas, chairs in the government house. That's very ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Move what? But my problem is this. They have alleged. You journalists should now go to each ministry and go and see what and what they have moved. For example, in my office, the TV, the fridge, whatever is there, they are still intact. I even told my workers to clean them up so that whoever is coming will be comfortable. I don't know what they take this administration for. They just talk. They have taken this, they have taken, somebody even wrote that even the fish in the government house that we are taking there. It's very ridiculous, I won't lie to you. And it's unfortunate that we meet ourselves in this situation. Government, you'll be there one day, you will leave one day. Even if you spend 8 years, you will still leave. But the legacy that you leave behind is what matters. I can assure you that the people of Osun, they're already missing Governor Boyega Oyetola. And that is what we told them. They said they are working as if they are not going. The mandate ends the midnight of the 26th of November. A performing and working governor will continue to work. We are still working. And they say, why is it at the tail end? No. Most of these orders that we made, there were many of them that they have cases in court. And we're waiting. Ire was in court for 4 years. How can somebody who doesn't know will now go to Facebook or wherever and say, what have they been looking at? 4 years now, they didn't do it. They are now just doing it. They just got the judgment in July that we can go ahead. These ruling houses, it was one of them that went to court. You see, our people need serious orientation, and I will advise that. We thank God for Rave FM that we even have a television now. Honestly, we need to do more of enlightening and more of putting our people through in some cases, giving them enlightenment. Honestly, it doesn't worth it. You don't have proof. You didn't see anybody, you just make noise. Immediately they came in, they started writing to banks, don't release money, even salary don't pay because we are this, we are that. You are not in government yet.
They did that.
They did all that.
The PDP wrote to bank.
Don't do this, don't do that. They are looting, they are this, they are that. No.
Well, I mean, they said that cars have been missing, that in fact, Prince Adebayo said yesterday that some generators have been removed from the
It's unfortunate that Adebayo is saying that, but I can guarantee you that he knows the truth. I think he's just doing the job that he's been asked to do. If he say, I will tell him that Adebayo said they've been cutting away generator. Mention one. Mention one. That is even bought. But if we are to, like the quarters where I live, I tell you, if I'm to move out anything, I will even move out the doors and the tires. Because I can't live in a futile environment. And I wasn't that poor before I became the commissioner. So I did a lot with my own money.
Not with government money.
Not with government money, because before it takes a process. So if you cannot wait and you feel yes, then you fix it. Even if the governor gives you furniture allowance. What they give you, if you think is not to a standard that you want, you can decide to upgrade it. But the point is, when you are going, you cannot take it away.
But has there been any variation of contract since after the election? Because that's part of the allegations that contracts have been completed, some even payments have been made, and there's been a variation trying to inflate, just trying to take money out of the system.
My brother, honestly speaking, I will respond to that by saying this. If you are a thief, and you know you are a thief, and you know how to steal, you will start saying some things against another person that you know, oh, this one is not likely to do it. Let me just say it. How do you mean variation? How many contracts are newly awarded? It's sad. They are saying all this so that when they get there, they will come and loot and now say, oh, it is the past administration. No. As I speak, we have no debt. Don't let them come back, and they have promised that when they get there, they are going to pay arrears in 3 months. We are waiting. We are waiting. And I thought there's even one important one that I thought maybe you are still getting that, where Kola Kwalimi alleged that there was a Shopee money that the government has taken 2-point-something billion, 3-point-something billions, just ranting and making noise for. It's unfortunate that we don't have a system that can give it back to you negatively when you give fake information.
You're saying that's fake, that there is no Shopee money, that it's missing.
There is Shopee money. How can it be missing? Am I not the commissioner for local government and chieftaincy affairs? They cannot even explain the source of the money. Shopee money came, obviously, and it has been distributed to local government. It's the money of local government.
When was it distributed?
That was about maybe 3 weeks ago. It was sent to local government. That is what NFIU says. You cannot keep local government in any account. Send it to them. They are to decide what they will do with it. If they are doing any project that is more than 5 million naira, they take it to the state government for approval. So what is the hula baloo about Shopee money? That they are saying the government, they siphon it, they have done this, they have done that. You know why they are saying that? Thinking that they will come and meet that money in the account of local government so they can just do it the way they like. No.
But is it true that you are setting, traps? You are mounting roadblocks. You want to put the incoming government in trouble. They said some of the policies and actions and policies taken in the last few months honestly, are intentional.
Let me quickly respond to this.
To put them in crisis. When
PDP is a party of violence. There's no doubt about that.
How do you mean?
I will tell you. I don't mix my words. Immediately after the election, when they were announced the winner of that election, there were a series of crises, killings in the state. I want to tell you that they have plans to be attacking some of us. They have plans that immediately they are sworn in on Sunday, they will start violence. So they are preparing ground for that violence. That's what you are seeing in the last 4 years. What violence have you seen in this administration, except NSAS, which is nationwide? What violence? What kind of killings? We have done so well even in terms of security, but they already have plans. I am telling you, they have plans. There are some people that are on the wanted list of the Nigerian police that are members of their security committee. And it was announced, it's in the public domain. What kind of government are they going to run? Somebody that is on the wanted list of the Nigerian police, and the name now featured as a member of the security committee. Don't you know that they have plans?
Who is that person?
I can't get the name, but he has an appellation.
What's the
they
appellation?
Call him Emir. You can confirm about the Nigerian police.
Emir is on the security committee of the
PDP. Yes, the name is there. The name is there. And he's on the wanted list of the Nigerian police. What are we talking about? They are not talking of the want to. Do you know the violent party? Even the administration of Governor Boyega Oyetola, if Mr. Dirogremi will be sincere to himself, most of the time he described Governor Boyega Oyetola as a gentleman.
Well, he said it again yesterday.
So what are we talking about?
So, I mean, there is the governor. There are others in the administration cabinet also. He said perhaps the governor, but he said he also made reference to the fact that perhaps there's some other characters in the administration who may not be like that.
He should have met who may not be. That's speculative. Who may not be.
But on the question,
we are not like them.
Yeah. So on the question of setting booby traps for the administration, you know,
how could we set
you've
trap?
inflated the workforce, that you've recruited over 12,000 workers since after the election. That you've been spending monies.
Let me say this.
Yes.
When the government decided to recruit teachers, it is known, it's obvious, known to everybody that we don't have enough teachers. Even in some schools, you have only 2 teachers. In some schools, only a single teacher will teach English, will teach literature, teach biology, will teach geography, will teach chemistry. So the government realized that we are seriously in need of teachers. And then we plan to recruit even like 5,000. If we recruit 5,000, they are not even enough. So eventually the governor said, okay, maybe half of it, 2,500. And we did the first batch. After that, we did the second batch. And it was in the public domain. But this is what the government wants to do. They were all interviewed. Not that we just interviewed new people. So it is a process. And it is still within the authority of the government to employ, to appoint. It is not out of place. They are just making noise. Those people that were employed, are they not qualified? Don't we need them?
Well, still talking about traps. Does your party have a rally planned for Friday, for tomorrow, at the stadium?
Well, you said party. I'm of the government. I think it's the party chairman or the party exco that will be able to.
You're a member of the APC.
I am, but tell you the truth, I am not aware of that yet.
You're not aware of any
yes.
any rally?
Yes.
At the stadium, but because it was accused yesterday that you are trying to frustrate the swearing in on Sunday. There was that the party also wanted to do a rally at the stadium on Saturday.
I, Prince Adebayo, Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, I am in the government. The party will give us information and tell us. As I speak, I am not yet aware of that. It might be true, it might be not, but I'm not yet aware of that.
All right, you're not yet aware of that. Still talking about traps. Have you made your handover notes? Do you have your handover notes?
In my ministry?
Yes, your ministry.
Very robust.
Have you in any way communicated same to the PDP Transition Committee? They said they've reached out to your administration, your government, and there's been no response.
Well, I am not aware of reaching out, but I'll tell you what I'm aware of. Immediately they won election, they got it all wrong. I think they inaugurated a transition committee without even getting in touch with the present administration. And you know the first thing they did? They roll out an information that everything that we do on a weekly basis will be reported to that transition committee as a government.
Was that a written communication to you?
No, not to the government, but it's all out. They have a PRO that will be saying all this. And if a PRO is saying on behalf of the governor-elect, what are we talking about? So I cannot see that we are ready, we want to work together. They claim the governor did not congratulate them. That is not compulsory. I will not congratulate them because within me, I know the election was not a proper election. I mean the result that they brought out. I can decide not to congratulate them.
Chieftains of the PDP categorically stated that they have written letters to the Itola administration, and not one of those letters has been replied. I
think it's either the chief of staff or the SSG that will be able to answer that.
I'm not a very key player of this government.
I'm not involved. You say so.
Yeah, I mean,
my ministry.
Yeah, your ministry.
My ministry.
But I mean, you are regarded as one of the very closest commissioners to the governor.
They can regard anybody as anything.
So I mean,
what I have to the governor is within me.
Yeah, but is there any reason as to why the administration fails to cooperate with the PDP in terms of transition?
I don't know.
I
don't know what they mean by not cooperating.
I mean,
you just asked about handover notes now.
Yes,
and I'm sure Mr. Governor would then prepare his own handover notes.
The government asked you to forward your handover notes for onward transmission, perhaps to the transition committee.
We don't normally we don't forward. Even when I became the commissioner, I made the handover note in my office, and I went through it. That was what happened then. So I don't know of forwarding. But whoever comes in as the commissioner for local government and chieftaincy matters will meet a very clean office, well prepared for him, and a full, very robust handover note.
Prince, I'd like to take you back to the issue of the stadium. Before the election, they accused you of doing the same, that you prevented them from accessing and making use of the stadium, you know, the grand finale of the PDP campaign that they were forced to do on the streets in front of their secretariat.
I don't know about that, but I am sure this government cannot do it. We did not do it.
They were not allowed to use the stadium.
But not the one. You need to ask. Yes, was it booked?
Yeah.
Was it used?
They claim that it was intentionally booked by the APC.
You cannot know the intention of a man is like the beauty of a flower. You cannot detect it. That is being preemptive. How can you say the intention? Do they have any document that proves that? If RFFM decide to use the stadium today, I will say, yes, approve for you. PDP now comes tomorrow and say, we want to use it. They say, oh, it has been taken by RFFM. They will still go to the radio and say it was intentional. That's where we find ourselves.
Well, you're leaving office now. Not now, today, as today. In the next 3 days.
I'll leave office midnight, November 26th.
Well, you're still commissioner.
Are you sure you're not traveling before then? Are you sure you're not traveling?
That was even that. They'll meet me in Ire now. That's my village. I'm there.
Is there anything you wish you had done differently in the last 4 years?
Well, there's no way you be in position of authority for 4 years and you will not offend some people. There are some that will hate you for following the due process like it's happened in my hometown. Some of them will be angry with your policies and things like that. So I just believe that our people need to be enlightened the more. So anytime we want to do anything, we should prepare the mind of the people. I think I will do that one better if I happen to be in the position of authority. Because I can see that many of our people are ignorant of so many things. And you need to keep saying it. And I've learned that if you say it once, you have to keep repeating it because they may not get it right. Thank you.
Well, so, let's talk about the local government. I mean, so you superintend over that arm of government as the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. We've talked about some of the crises regarding chieftaincy issues. But the local government, the PDP has also been very critical of the administration's conduct of a local government election in the twilight of this administration. They said, one, it was unconstitutional. It did not follow lead and procedures that, they did not give the number of days expected to be given as specified or spelled out by the Constitution.
That's a case. That's a case that is in court. We should allow the judge to judge.
But so, I mean, can you advance any reason as to why you had to do the election at that time you did it?
Let me tell you, the PDP even went to court telling us that we have to do election. But for paucity of fund, because election is not free. And Mr. Governor is actually, recently he got an award, debt management by World Bank. If you are bribing everybody, I don't think it's that easy to bribe World Bank. So paucity of funds. And Mr. Governor was like, okay, when we know we can pay salary and we have little change, then we can do election. But there was so much pressure, especially from the PDP. There was a case in court over that before the election. But no judgment has been made. So what is wrong in doing election? Is it not constitutional? If they think the process is not right, they have the right to go to court, and they're in court already. What's the hula baloo? It's very simple. Let us be civil.
But so
they should learn to be civil.
They said the OCF law was not followed, that even the Electoral Act 2022 prescribed 65, 360 days. I only gave some few weeks notice.
The law is about interpretation. The case is already in court. Let the lawyers go there and do the interpretation. Let the judge take a decision. As far as we are concerned,
yes,
we have followed due process completely.
Do you think it speaks to the confidence of the people in that process? The fact that it was only the APC that participated in that.
It does not make any difference. You can see the other political parties; they were in support,
but they did not participate.
Participation is indifferent. I can be in support if I don't have a candidate. I will not produce a candidate.
We have 18 parties.
Yes, they are.
And none of them.
Many of them. They came. There was a press conference that they made. I don't know if you are aware of that. And they said, we are in support of this. We are doing this together. They went to the meeting with OCA.
But if they are in support, so why not field candidates?
Probably if they don't have it, it is not compulsory. It is not compulsory. If it's not necessary to them, fine.
And so you think
if it is necessary, fine.
So you think the yes and no, format of that?
That is the format. That's what the law says. They don't know. Let them take that to the court for the judge to decide. They don't know. That is it. If you have more than 1, 2, 3 political parties, fine. If it is just one, fine. So they have different, steps, different process, different ways of doing election. If they are challenging that in court, let them go and challenge it.
Well, still talking about your office, in the build-up to the local government election, I spoke with some persons, on the streets to get reactions on certain issues. And one of the reasons advanced for the supposed failure of the local government in Osun State particularly was the lack of access to funds. There were rumors and reports that the state government, when the local government gets the allocation, the state government collects it and uses it to finance or service state and all of that. Was that a feature in your administration? Did you in any way tamper with or touch?
I don't know if there's any word like blatant. It's a blatant lie.
So you're saying you did not touch local government funds?
No way. Let me tell you this. We do allocations every month. Allocations. Once the local government federal allocation comes in your template, you have to explain what you have done with that money from 1 naira to 1, and it goes to local government.
They said the state is broke, that Osun is only surviving on local government funds.
That is not true. That is not true. There is nowhere you will see the state government using local government funds. No way. It has never happened. If they approve, let them bring it out.
So how come the local government are not active then? They used to be very active.
Are you saying they are not? Are you alleging that they are not active, or they are not active?
I mean, that's what some of the people.
That is exactly what they will say. Somebody came here one time. I think it was the governor-elect that said the PAC that you said you did, it didn't happen. And when I was responding on Ravia, I said, let them go out there and give us pictures of PHCs that were not renovated or rehabilitated, and that we claim we have rehabilitated. He has said, I am the commissioner in charge. Local government, NFIU rules will not allow that. And let me even tell you, any money that is not going directly to local government or that is not authorized by JAC. JAC is the combination of the state, and that is where all the local government chairman will be there. That's where they take decision. If this is not approved by JAC and it is against NFIU rule, the bank will not even transfer the money. So what are we talking about? They need to go and learn. They need to read process that guides every step that you take when it comes to allocation of funds to local government. That is why even by Takola Palimi, that is a lawyer, will come here to say, no, it is an aberration. Sure P money. Sure P money belongs to local government. It is not the money that you have to leave in the account for them to come and see. It has been transferred to local government. It is now the duty of the government, the state government, through the Ministry of Local Government, to monitor what they want to do or what they have done or what they will do with that money. I sent, there was a circular I sent around on Sure P money that they should make sure that they follow complete due process as we used to, as it is in the past, in spending this money, because there is a lot of noise over it. And two, that they should do physical projects and projects that will be okay with the people in that community. What else do they want? They are just making noise because they know we have done so well. As they are making noise, we are getting unsolicited award from reputable organizations. And the people of the state, genuine people of the state, they know. It's all about lies. Look at recently, there was just a spontaneous a protest in Osogbo that the governor wanted to remove Kabiyesi. Our governor, our own, we remove Anoba. For what? What did he do? It is not compulsory for any Oba to support any political party. So as far as we are concerned, Kabiyesi has not done anything wrong. That is how it feels. And that is the beauty of democracy. So somebody just, until today we're asking, what's the source of your information?
So there was never any intention to... I was not angry, or them saying not angry that I did not support the APC.
How will he be happy? You see, that's the beauty of democracy. If we want to get it right, you should be allowed to do what you want to do, but be civil about it. Another beauty of democracy is when you are aggrieved, go to court. So people say, why do they have to go to court? They don't want the governor to be there. They don't want, no, that is our civil. If we go to court, we should allow it to flow. Everybody in Nigeria, we want it to be like London. We want it to be like New York. We want it to be like Italy. It is a process and we need to follow. People need to understand. I won't lie to you. We really, really lack that understanding. And it's because we don't have a punitive mode, a way of punishing people that will just talk for talking's sake. At the end of the day, when you take your camera toward this ministry and you see that there was no looting, what will happen?
Okay.
What will happen? We keep quiet.
All right. One of the reasons advanced by the state government for not conducting local government elections in time was the parliamentary system of government that was in place. And in July this year, the House of Assembly reversed that to presidential.
Yeah.
And also passed the OSEC Act, enabling OSEC to conduct presidential elections.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, why did it take long for that bill to get to the House of Assembly?
You see, I don't understand the reason of this. Why did it take long? It was done with the time. Reasonable. I don't know. Why would they ask a man, you're a 50-year-old man, why did it take you long to get married? It's not to him. You can get married at any time, in as much as you are doing it, and it's still within the purview of what the law says. I don't understand it. The House of Assembly decided to change this. This one decided to do that. They did it. It is legal. So why the insinuation? What is wrong in what the House of Assembly did?
No,
we moved from parliamentary system to presidential.
Could it have been done earlier?
It doesn't make any. If it had been done earlier, what difference does it make? I'm asking.
It would have saved your administration from having to respond to these allegations.
It doesn't matter. Responding is very easy to us. It does not make any difference.
You don't think you don't think about the implications of that on perception.
Even if you are done it earlier, the haters will still have one or two things to say. We'll still come here to defend.
Well, because of time, we're out of time, Prince. But I should ask you. So, with the benefit of hindsight, the elections have come and gone. You are leaving government now. Emmanuel asked you at that
for
time.
Now.
Yeah. But now. But so, do you think that perhaps the results could have been different if the governor, the party, and some senior officials like you had managed the crisis within your party in a different way, perhaps? My fences.
Well, I want to say this, and it's a categorical fact that it might have little effect, but that we had problem with some chieftains of the party was not the reason why the election went the way it went. Was that the reason why Beaver's report was not synchronized even after 3 weeks of election?
You are still stressing that you are rigged out of the election?
100%.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this. In the 2018 election, I think the vote we had then was about 270-something thousand. In the 2022 election, APC got 375,000. Big improvement, whether they were there or not. So I don't believe that it is because of this. Though it might have some, the actions of these people that claim they were within the party but are working against the party might have some negative effect. But to the glory of God, we thank God for where we are.
All right. Well,
People
let's leave
of
it
Osun
at
still
that.
love Governor Boyega each other, and they cannot wait to have him back.
Well,
Okay.
that's your own impression of the
People are saying it all over.
So
Now
we-
you
When the
believe
governor,
what people
when
are
the
saying.
governor, they say,
Oh. Okay, thank you so much for coming on Morning Spring this morning.
Thank you
On
too.
Western Spring Television. We hope to see you again and again.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, that's the interview or part of the program today. Prince Adebayo Adeleke, otherwise known as Banik, is the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. He's the current commissioner. He's also the outgoing. But that's the show today. Emmanuel will come back after the break to give us what's trending. You mind hinting? Give us a hint of what's
Yes, I
trending.
did say earlier that someone has a new may have a new identity,
okay.
but you get to know who and what that new identity
And
is.
are you going
on
to show us the new
Of course,
print, the new Naira note?
Yes, of course. You
Do
need
you
to
have
see.
it?
I said yesterday I could smell it. Now I can see it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to. I mean, there should be some giveaway.
Of course,
There's some giveaway on
that
what's
would
trending.
be on you, Femi. You give the money away to
okay.
the viewers.
All right. Well, so Emmanuel will be back after this break. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Can you hear me now? All right, thank you. Yes, I am very, very ready. Morning, good morning, and welcome to Spring Trend of Western Spring Television. Don't worry again, I've not lost my accent. I still know how to speak very good English. My name is Emmanuel Jadigili. Thank you for joining us on Spring Trends on Morning Spring, where we bring you who is trending, what's trending, why they are trending, and what people are saying about all of these things. This morning, we start on the political front, and someone has a new identity, may have a new identity. If you take a look at your screen, what you're seeing there is The man called Jagaban. Yesterday, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu was in the news. As you can see on your screen, the man called Jagaban Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, Donald Tinubu, or Bola Duke. Why is this even a question? Let me show you what happened. Now, along the line, former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, says this picture you are seeing that they are calling Asiwaju Bola Ahmed is me. That's what Donald Duke is saying. He's saying, when I was 12 years old, I took this picture in FGC in the north. So the question people are asking on social media now is this Donald Tinubu or Bola Duke? When did Tinubu become Donald Duke? And how did Donald Duke become Tinubu? Let's take the comments. Let's see what people are saying. This first comment is from David Odenyi. David Odenyi is saying, how hilarious is it that West Africa's week's documentary on Bola Tinubu, which had a budget of $0, had about 35 times the production quality of, you can see the media house there, reactionary propaganda, which labeled Donald Duke's photo as Tinubu, and definitely someone got paid millions for it. Let's look at the next comment. It says, I don't tire for this man, official bat, eh? Why will you go and use someone else's picture again, eh? Abi, you no get childhood picture. Where you even come from, self? These are questions people are asking on social media. You have another comment. Peter Obi for president, MXX for me, says, everyone should guard their childhood pictures jealously. Tinubu and his urchins are looking for any childhood picture to launder his image and show that he had a childhood. Donald Duke is a victim today. Tomorrow may be you. Vote wisely. The next comment we have there says, official Eddie, imagine the level of shamelessness of the APC. Now they've stolen the picture of my former governor, Donald Duke, and dashed it to Bat. God forbid Bat thing. These people never get tired of embarrassing themselves. This one says, Donald Duke should not take it kindly with him. Sue him. You can see the exclamation mark there, asking Donald Duke to sue Bola Tinubu. Taylor Scow says, if you still believe that Tinubu has anything to offer Nigerians, then you are the most miserable and confused. Why are you so angry? Most miserable and confused of all men. His team are working so hard to sell a fraud to the point of stealing the child pics of Donald Duke. Next comment says, I wish I were Donald Duke, but you are not Donald Duke. I will make them dry for identity theft. Who really is this man called Tinubu? And the next comment says, I am the boy in the picture, not Tinubu as they claimed in their documentaries. That photo was taken when I was 12 years old during my school years at the Federal Government College Sokoto in Sokoto State. That's what Donald Duke is saying. The next comment we have there is from this picture. You could tell that this boy will grow up to be taller than 5'8". Tinubu should have used Aki or Popo picture. I mean, what is wrong with Nigerians? Where do you people get this sense of humor from? And Mitchell Targaryen, the last comment on that particular story says, Donald Duke is too handsome to star as young Tinubu. They should have looked for a picture of young Godwin. But I will not take that. That is the governor of my state. Please don't do that. That is still saying that young Adams Oshomole even better. And we know that one won't even refute it. He will go on national TV and swear that the picture is in him. That's what you have. People are asking, who is really this man called Tinubu? Why does he have a Donald Duke as his picture? Why does he have Donald Duke as his picture? We'll move on from that to the next story. Like I said earlier, something is cooking. I can smell the new Naira note. I tell you, I've not touched it, but I can smell it. And very soon, I'll be amongst the first set of persons to touch it. Yesterday, the government of Nigeria said President Muhammadu Buhari launches the newly redesigned Naira notes at the State House, Abuja. You can see how colorful it is. That's the tweet from the government house. So now let's show you these new notes. Let's show you what the notes are. You can see on your screen, you have the notes there. Let's take the notes. We have 1,000 Naira. You have 200 Naira. You have 500 Naira. Looking very, very colorful. Now, what are people saying about this note? We take Fisayo Foshudu first. Fisayo Foshudu says he gave us his own design of the note. Yes, Fisayo, I was playing around in Photoshop and came up with this in 1 hour and 30 minutes. I took inspiration from the 100 Naira note and copied the security chipset on the 50-pound note and added custom Gulichi patterns. That's what Fisayo Foshudu is saying about his own currency change. Ife of Lagos says, now this is what a redesign should look like, not that a direct tie and dye mixed with hue and saturation effect from your camera edit. The laziness in the government to actually work in any sector is shocking. A lot of people have plenty of things to say about this Naira note. This one says they did silhouette challenge on 200 Naira note. God knows how Ahmadu Bello will be feeling right now. Why bring the dead into this? Let the dead rest. Please, don't be dragging the dead. Senator Shehu Sani says, if it's Naira color, the CBN should have just engaged Snapchat. The CBN should have just engaged Snapchat. Moyo Oluwatuyi says, I get the logic actually. By making the Naira look vintage, it will regain its old value. The international market will think that it's the same as the Naira we were spending in the 80s and 90s when the value was still high. So the value we appreciate. I'm thinking that this is a very sarcastic comment. Moyo Oluwaseyi, please stop being sarcastic. Now we take Pablo Martin. Pablo Martin says, so all because of ordinary filter, they changed our currency. You'll be hearing they used about 13.6 billion Naira in buying those inks they use in filtering the money. That's coming from Moyo Pablo Martini this morning. Lady Lexi is the next on our list of comments. Lady Lexi says, this one that 1K is the color of 50 Naira, 500 is the color of 20 Naira, and 200 Naira looks like 10 Naira color. Sure, these people are not trying to tell us something like this. Well, we want to see what the CBN and the government is telling us with this reaction. Let's move on to the next comment. That cannon shooter. I have a theory that the last batch of money they printed came out defective because of an ink cartridge issue. So they decided to announce a currency redesign so they can launch the defective note as though it is a newly designed and newly printed currency. Again, these are social media opinions. This is not the opinion of this media house. This is the opinion of people on social media who are reacting to what the government has put out. Now, PH Corporate Plumber says, so all this reprinting of Naira Higi Haga going on in the country was just to add color to it, and that's all. Nothing like changing of view size or faces on it. Something that my ex Philomena can do with a Snapchat filter. I'm sure that this guy's ex is either a graphic designer or a slay queen because she's using a Snapchat filter. Now this one, Oshunkorede Bankole Unis. Oshunkorede Bankole Unis says, Kileleyi, it can't be like say tone and finish as them they print them. I mean, Nigerians, with the sense of humor we have, you would think that all is well in this country. The way people react to issues, you think that they don't have problems. Dekule says, with this new Naira notes from CBN, don't even make the mistake of washing your clothes with money inside it. You will cry tire, era of bleaching Naira. Owo Adire, Owo Snapchat, Owo Kiki, hue and saturation. Emefiele, you do this one. You can see the crying emoji there. That's from Dekule. Yes, the picture you're seeing on your screen. That's from Dekule, who was saying that if you get these new Naira notes, please, don't wash them with your clothes, because if you do, it might end up staining your clothes. Now, back to the political scene. Yesterday, the ancient city of Ibadan was agog. Why was it agog? The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, LP, Peter Obi, was in Ibadan. If you can see your screen now, you see the video showing there Peter Obi walking into the Liberty Stadium in Ibadan, where he went to campaign and, show up support for his 2023 ambition. Let's take a little bit of that video. Let's see. You can see that brother shining his teeth, probably happy to feature in Peter Obi's video. Yes, Peter Obi and Senator Dati, his running mate, arriving in Ibadan to campaign for next year. Now let's take the comments. Let's see what people on Twitter said about this particular incident. We'll start with the Labour Party itself. The Labour Party itself made a tweet and said and showed us that the leader of Afenifere, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, is at the Obi Dati presidential campaign rally happening now. That was yesterday in Ibadan, Oyo State. We move. A new Nigeria is possible. Vote Labour Party. The next comment is from Otified Youth Ambassador. Obi is the brand plucked out of fire. That is why Pa Ayo Adebanjo, including men and women of good conscience, are with him in Ibadan for Obi Dati. We will restore the integrity of our nation. We will rebuild the ruins of our nation. We will repair the streets of our nation. The next comment is from Clofeniramin. Thought they said Ibadan people will not come out. So what's happening here in Oyo State? No Ashoebi, no uniform, no rented crowd. Just people who love and support Peter Obi. And we'll take this from Ogemdi Udegbunam. To be honest, I was never expecting Peter Obi to have much supporters from Southwest State, apart from Lagos. What I'm seeing in Oyo State is very impressive. Another comment, Peter Obi grassroots mobilization says, our incoming First Lady Federal Republic of Nigeria in Ibadan or your state. You can see the very beautiful wife. Well, that's the much we can take on our spring trend this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to follow us on all social media platforms, Western Spring Television. Remember to follow me on Twitter at EM Ojadigile. You can tag me to your trending stories and show me what you want us to amplify on our station. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.